activity in both the United States and I know in Manchester, England. I've heard rumors that this is also happening in Peru and Brazil. I don't have confirmation from that from news sources, but I do from people who live there that have told me that. So I really wanted to talk to the expert of UFO drones, Dr. Robert Shiepe, today, to raise the question, this activity, is it a paradigm shift in our consciousness and we're just more aware and looking at the skies and have the technology to record it? Or is this actually happening more and more? What are these drones? What's their purpose? Why are they here? I know that's a lot to throw on you, Robert, but yes. What do you think? What's going on?
Before I try to answer that, there is a backstory here. Let me give you even a little bit about my 30 seconds of my background. I'm born and raised in Los Angeles. I really, at the age of 5, I knew I'd be a scientist. And at the age of 10, I knew I'd become a pharmacist. And that's what I did. And so I have a heavy science background. I invented actually the mail order pharmacy business in 1986. I retired 2012. I live in Marina Del Rey, and 2017, something extremely odd started to occur. The military started basically invading or reconning Marina Del Rey, and they've never stopped. So the backstory is the military is extremely aware of these drones, because what I did was, after 2 weeks, the military really never left after the summer of 2017. I started recording why they were here. In other words, the Navy Black Hawks and the Coast Guard. I started recording their helicopters, and you could see these small, fast movers, basically approximately 10 inches. So I do call them drones, but I don't think they're Earth drones. So the point is, the military is very aware of this. What we're just now hearing, they've been chasing since 2017. And I just happened to be at the right place at the right time. And I've documented everything since 2017. So there have been over 15,000 Pentagon sorties. I recorded over 5,000 UAP videos, over 5,000. So I guess when you say if I'm a drone expert, yeah, because I've been trying to ring the bell for 7 years. Hey, there are these drones flying around, and some people are listening. I've told a lot of people. I give lectures at the Air Force Base, March Air Force Base, about these drones. I've sat down with the intel community. I've sat down with the echelon of Hollywood. I've told a lot of people. I've done other podcasts. So pretty much like over 1 million people have heard what I've said. Now this is coming out of the blue all of a sudden. What is going on? Your great question, are there just more drones? And of course, when the news people or the government says there are drones, it's implied that there are Earth drones flying around. That is what is being implied. But all of these cannot be Earth drones. It doesn't make any sense. All of a sudden, the East Coast and the UK are flooded with drones. I'm not buying it, and they're saying they're large, as big as a car, and in the air for hours. I'm not buying that. There's just something really odd. I know you want to be cautious, and we try to figure out what's going on here. What's the truth? Because we all just want to know the truth. I think none of us really care if they're from another planet or if they're from this planet. Just tell us the truth.
We just want to know. Yeah.
That's really it. That's it. Just tell us the bottom line here.
And it doesn't seem to me that they are dangerous, because this has been going on, like you said, since 2017. You've been documenting, and I'm sure maybe it was going on before that. It just makes me wonder, they would have been aggressive in some sort of way. Have you ever seen any aggression from the drones towards the military aircraft?
Okay, fantastic question. Fantastic. Maybe getting ahead of myself by answering this, but I know people in the Air Force. So we had a policy in 1950 to 1970 to shoot down a UFO at any cost. And that was the worst campaign that we ever had, because for 20 years we shot down we lost a jet every day for 20 years somewhere in the world.
Wow.
Yeah. And I can mention names who told me this, and the general at NORAD, I can mention names, but it's kind of irrelevant. And I'm I'm not prone to make stuff up here. I'm just trying to protect my source.
Mm-hmm.
So are they dangerous? This is what I've concluded. If you are a UAP, a UFO, and you have an organic life in the ship and we shoot at you, what they do, they don't shoot back with lasers or phasers. They simply turn our missiles around and destroy our own jets. And yeah, so to answer the other side of the question, are these drones dangerous? Okay, based on video that I have, that if you shoot at them, they will not shoot back. I think the assumption is that they see themselves as a mechanical instrument and they are not justified to shoot down another organic life form like us. And I do have that photograph of us shooting at a drone. And by the way, I call these drones, they're small. I call them dragons because for the first year, I was sure they were birds or insects, especially insects. So I thought they were dragonflies because they had to be dragonflies. Just logically, there is no other answer. But after a year, I upgraded my cameras. I got tripods. I got just good equipment. And then basically within a short time, you add one and one together. These things only fly when the military comes into the airspace. So real briefly, what I do is I keep an iPad and I watch the airspace over, and this is really amazing free technology, Plane Finder. There's a couple other apps that are free, but you can watch airplanes in your area. They come in and I just simply I'm working on the computer. I look at my iPad, I see a helicopter coming in. I press record on my camera and I get new UAP video. As incredibly simple as that sounds, it's highly accurate. So
do you ever see them flying close to commercial aircraft or is it always military?
all aircraft in the sky.
All aircraft. Okay.
All aircraft. And for what it's worth, I have a view of all of West LA, all of Los Angeles. And I've noticed there's a particular spot, Arizona in the sky, and it's right over Culver City, California. I turn my camera on right when they're over Culver City, and these things will fly up to the aircraft. I call that a tag. When they're reconning our airplanes. They're tagging, they're scanning their probes. They want information. Now, what are they doing with it? We don't know. But basically, these things are tagging our planes. And 8% of the time, like I said, I have a tripod and I have a car radar detector attached to my tripod. And 8% of the time, they will trigger the radar. And it will trigger and it will tell you X or K band. And I figured that out on my own like 5 or 6 years ago. Now, last year, the Pentagon published characteristics of these drones, and they did put down they will trigger the X-band spectrum. And that was published on 4/19/23, if you want to fact check me. And they're also calculated the same speed that I calculated, 2,000 miles an hour. So yeah, it's coming. So in other words, the military is very aware of this since 2017. We're just now hearing about it.
Why do you think it's become such a news story? I mean, I feel like people are talking about this all over the world, and I don't feel like it's any more of a threat or less of a threat than it has been. But all of a sudden, it kind of seems like they're framing it as there's this threat, but it doesn't seem like these are threatening by any means.
Not yet. There's no evidence of any kind of a threat. Like I said, we shot at it, one of these drones, one of these dragons. It did not shoot back. Actually, it fell out of the sky. I have the video, but it was rescued by a second dragon and they flew off. It's just phenomenal. Just one in a lifetime. Oh, there's a couple of things going on here. So at least 1 million people have seen my videos. And I do say, take the dragon challenge. Go outside, hold your phone landscape, record helicopters, aircraft for 30 seconds and see if you don't see something fly. And a lot of people do, and they're recording these things and it's all over the world. And every day I wake up and in my email, I have new video, Europe, Africa. I just got a new one from Africa. Just all over America. It's the Dragon Challenge. And you could do this no matter where you are. Now, I'm in Marina Del Rey. In Marina Del Rey, something very extraordinary odd is going on because that's why the military is focused. Maybe something's under the water. Maybe there's an underwater base. But in 7 years, The government has deployed a lot of assets, over
Yeah.
15,000 major research vessels parked right here off the shore. Major. And I
I
have all
think
the.
there's a base up off of like Malibu underwater, and the feeling that, and from talking to people across the country at certain locations like Mount Shasta, Sedona, other places where there seem to be portals, and then even down in the Bermuda Triangle, there's more underwater bases down there. And I think all of this is connected underground, underneath, through tunnel systems, through underground cities that are fully functional cities that have been operating in unison with humanity for, I think, thousands and thousands of years. And I just think it's a hidden history or something like that. But it seems like there's been more and more proof coming out, more and more things that are showing that this could possibly be quite a potential reality. What do you think of that?
I just saw those photos off the coast of Mexico, the tunnels.
Mm-hmm.
For the first time, they literally just tunnels right on the surface, undeniable. I mean, kudos to whoever found those pictures, but the earth is really old, and a lot of things have come and gone. So not only are they there, they're very old. They're probably very, very old, hundreds of thousands, or if not millions of years old. It's a lot of history. We don't even know 1% of the history on planet Earth. So a lot of history. Yeah. And then also briefly, that really famous underground base off the coast of Malibu. I've been talking about it for 3 years, quite a bit, showing pictures. So it was deleted this year, 6 months ago. It was deleted. It's, if you go to look, it's not there.
It's interesting because there's areas in Alaska that the same thing has happened to. There used to be, from the satellite imaging, you could see certain things kind of underground or under the water, and now there's areas like blacked out, like literal like triangles.
I think it's just the hope that I call them the UFO police, that they're hoping, well, if we delete it, then people will stop talking about it. But it's really the opposite.
It is the opposite. We're like, why are you deleting it then?
Right. Now you're going to get 800% more people asking questions. So the best thing to do is sometimes just leave it alone. No matter how bad it looks, leave it alone. Because as soon as you delete it, it opens up a Pandora box.
We're in the age of information, and there's so much information out there, and they try to really stigmatize it against, like, oh, that's either crazy people, or those are they'll like fact check it and make it so that, oh, that was just a weather balloon or swamp gas, or something like that, like kind of gaslighting the subject. I just find it interesting that now that we are in the age of technology, this stuff is available. Like your research that you're doing is palpable. 5,000 videos that, I mean, you really are a master, because isn't it 10,000 hours and you become like in art, you need 10,000 hours.
It's,
Um,
it's
I
odd
mean, you
that
have well over 10,000 hours.
the age of information, sadly, it's going to sound arrogant, but there's a lot of thinking in the Pentagon, and in their mind, it's still 1950, 1960, and we don't have to tell the people anything. But really, the reality is there's a lot of insiders in the Pentagon. They're spilling the beans. They're like, here's the videos. They're putting it on. So there's a misconception here. Like, hey, the people, as a matter of fact, a lot of people have more knowledge than people in the Pentagon. Because, you meet people, they go, hey, they're not supposed to. When you work for a top secret clearance, they're not, but people still do. They tell you, hey, I'm working on these top secret rockets. I'm working on top secret satellites. I hear that all the time.
Yeah. And I've emailed, or I've interviewed CIA agents, but they can't say that's what they do. So it's like it's either like they won't be on camera, or they change their identity, or they will only do audio, and then they want me to change their voice.
You don't kiss and tell. You don't want to burn any bridges, because you want to be you want to be able to pick up the phone and talk to that CIA guy. Ironically, when I say I've shared it with the intel community, I did sit down with the CIA. And they were very forthcoming and frank. And I thought they were going to be like, well, I'm going to give information. They're never going to tell me anything. But it wasn't like that. I said, these things are going 2,000 miles an hour. And they go, well, are you sure? Because the UFOs we know are going 10,000 miles an hour. I said, well, these are very small. Maybe they can't go that fast. And then they were like, are there life forms inside? And I was like puzzled. I was like, well, they're very small. I mean, I would assume there's no life forms. But they kept pressing the question, are there life forms inside? So I just kept saying, I would assume no. But so the government is very aware, just extremely aware. Back in 2019, there was a little news brief right here at LAX, Los Angeles, but the Homeland Security did this emergency news thing on the runway at LAX, and they said, we are going to start a task force to look into these drones. I'm like, wow, this is like really odd because they're trying to keep a low key. They're just officially going to talk about it and never show it again. But I looked into it, and it wasn't just a regular task force. There's a task force made up generally of experts, and then there's something called a blue ribbon task force, which is made up of the smartest people in the world. In other words, old timers, people have been in the field 35, 45 years. So in the Blue Ribbon Task Force, they have people retired from the FAA, the FBI, the Sheriff's Department, the best of the best. So the government's very familiar. The FBI has been looking into this. Now the FBI is looking into these drones in New Jersey. Again, to save them time, if I was them, this activity has been going on since 2017. So every single helicopter that is in the military is here, has been here, including the LAPD, the sheriff, the fire department. I would go to the front of the line. I would just talk to the sheriff, the fire department, and LAPD have already confessed quietly that these things are annoying.
Is there a chance that these are actually part of our known military or secret military, I guess, secret military programs that are somewhat protecting the aircraft in certain airspaces because maybe there's a reason for doing that? I don't know what those reasons could be, but like it just seems like maybe it could be recon or protection. Like the president walks around with the Secret Service all over surrounding him. So maybe these are like escorts of some sort. Could that be a possibility?
That's a fantastic question. Of course, theoretically, that's a possibility. And it's funny you mentioned the president because whenever he comes to LA, he flies over Marina Del Rey and he always gets tagged. So I have video of the president for the last 10 years, and they fly up to his helicopter. My question is, what agency in America has the authority to fly up to the president's helicopter?
Maybe the DoD. I mean,
Maybe.
there are secret programs and there is a large budget of military
Yeah,
spending that goes completely unknown and just into some black funnel. I don't know.
right.
I would expect that it would cost a lot to engineer things like this, but
Yeah.
I think there's $3 billion missing from that budget. I could be off on my numbers, but that's what I heard.
Probably a lot higher too. A lot higher. And again, they're all over the world. It's not just America, not just Marina Del Rey. People are
But our
recording.
military's all over the world too.
Yeah, yeah, it is. We don't know. Like we said earlier, we just want to know the truth. I have no interest in this. I don't have a book, t-shirts, merchandise, a movie. I don't have nothing. I'm a retired pharmacist. I did really well. I'm
You
only,
should make a t-shirt though.
yeah, yeah. I'll get to it. I get to it. Maybe a hat or two. You're right. People have asked, Robert, do you have a t-shirt?
For your t-shirt?
I I think I have a prototype of one or two. I'll send it. I will. I got to get on it. I I'm retired, but activity has never been higher. Has never been
Yeah.
higher.
I think I'm all for encouraging things like this because I just think it raises awareness for like what is going on in the skies. Like I remember I went to Mount Shasta with a shaman, and as we were circumnavigating the mountain, we were going around it, not up it, which was interesting because when I first thought I was going there, I thought I was going to go up. But he is like, no, there's these vortexes and portals around the mountain that are more significant than just going to the top. So as we were like going around, he mentioned that, don't forget to look up. A lot of people would see a lot more if they just looked up, and so it kind of became like the slogan, like, don't forget to look up, for like the whole trip. You see lots of interesting things when you really start focusing on the skies. Yeah, I think it's good just to remind people to look up and, like you said, record.
Record, take your phone. It's so easy. You already have an amazing, sophisticated instrument in your pocket, the iPhone. Pull it out, hold it landscape sideways, zoom in 20% to helicopter aircraft, record for 30 seconds. And don't quit on your first video, and then go back and watch it. Look for a tiny dot. You'll say, okay, I do see a dot, but the assumption is it's a bug. So it's not a bug, not a bug. And to go back to your other question, it's like, what is going on all of a sudden? So what's one possibility? Because I think about that. I'm like, why is this happening now? And, and I'm like meditating and praying, give me an answer, give me an answer. So I think what's possible, again, about 1 million people have seen my videos. It could be cause and effect. If people are taking their phones out and recording helicopters now, by doing that, you are creating a telepathic message. You are accidentally communicating with these life forms. Like, hey, I want to see you. I want to record you. And telepathy is very real, very real. So as a courtesy, they're going to fly by. You're going to record them. Now, other people are saying, oh my God, these things are flying. I'm going to record them. So the more we record, the more of a feedback we're getting. So this might continue to go climb up and up and up. Yeah, the sightings, in other words, may continue to go higher and higher because we're showing them attention as a courtesy. They're showing us attention.
Yep.
So
It reminds me of when I was interviewing Daryl Anka this last summer, and he said that the ships, like the motherships, are at certain portals, and one of them is Sedona, and the ship is like higher, and then as the frequency on Earth is changing, it's getting more magnetic towards the Earth, and at one point there's going to be a tipping point where it's going to be so the ships are so low that they're easily visible because it's like a magnet. And if you think about even something as simple as the law of attraction, like where there's a feeling of magnetism, and that when you encounter something like that, you would want to go say hi to that person or ask them a question that made you curious about that person. But like, if we're finally like looking up at the skies, wondering what's going on, asking really what's going on, like we're even vocalizing what's going on, we're just getting more open to the idea.
I think we are. And I think it's happening. I mean, I'd like to see it happen faster, but at this point, it is happening faster than I expected.
Yeah, me too.
I'm really kind of excited for all of us because this awareness is climbing very quickly. And I only see good things, really only good things about it. I only associate with good energy, good people. So I think this is going to a good place. think I think these drones, the technology they operate on, we could benefit quite a bit. I'm looking forward to that in many ways. Very, very, very exciting. Now, there's a couple of people, and I respect that. They're going, well, Robert, these things are real, but they're demons. They're demons. It's bad news.
Mm.
Okay, again, I'm not in that orbit of demons. I try to hang out with really enlightened entities. But here's the good news. Okay, so if these dragons or these UFOs are good guys, okay, no harm, no foul. Okay, but if they turn out to be bad guys, well, and something happens and we have to like take action, well, because of all my videos and research, we have some technology to fall back on. What am I talking about? So we know how to find them. We know how to record them. We know how to bait them. They're baitable. You can just fly a helicopter or fly an earth drone and they will fly up to it. They trigger the X and K band spectrum. They actually leave an audio click on the video. So we can invent an app that when it hears these clicks in the air, it will tell you a dragon is nearby. So my point is, if we can figure out a way to protect ourselves, we just won't be standing around with our hands in our pockets like, what do we do? What do we do? So there's no downside to all this.
The UFO drones that are like not shooting back and not showing any sort of aggression, I feel like they have good intentions because they're not harming us or anything. They're kind of just data collecting and what is going on Earth. There's a lot of, there's still war. There's a lot of negative, dark things on Earth still. So it's like if you're off planet wanting to come on to this chaotic planet right now, you'd want people to start, like, let's not get in too deep here.
Yeah,
They might self-destruct. I don't know.
I mean, these visitors, they're in like a catch 22. Like we want to help these Earth people, but God, they got to chill out. They just got to chill out, and they're hyperventilating, and there's actually no reason to. It's we really have an infinite amount of resources on this planet. It's just that there's a 1% of the people at the top of the echelon just make it hard for the rest of us. Like off the top of my head, I say this is something that will happen in 100 years. It won't happen now. Energy is a big situation
Yes.
on planet Earth. Huge. I get that.
Yep.
It comes down to energy. It comes down to electricity. So here's the amazing part. Nothing will be done for 100 years because it's so simple. It just won't be done. All you need to make electricity, all you need is hot water. You don't have to be a physicist. All you need is hot water. You say, oh, that's too easy. Yes, all you need is hot water. Well, in Yellowstone, we have enough hot water to make electricity to power the whole planet Earth. We really do. We really do.
That's the coolest thing I've heard all day.
And a few people will go, oh, no, no, Robert, Yellowstone's so beautiful. You don't want to ruin it. So in the worst scenario, if something was to go wrong, we would spill some hot water on the dirt. Well, what about all the animals that will be destroyed? Okay, I love animals. I just love animals. If I wasn't a pharmacist, I'd be a veterinarian. If we sell electricity, we could sell electricity to the whole planet Earth. It would generate $1 trillion a month. So what does that mean? Every single animal in Yellowstone gets their own private veterinarian, gets their own private living quarters. We pay off our national debt and nobody pays income tax anymore because we're bringing in $1 trillion a month forever until Yellowstone runs out of hot water, which they won't. So I'm just saying it won't happen today, but in 100 years, let's do this interview again. We'll reincarnate.
Okay.
We'll do this interview. So my point is we have everything on this planet.
Yeah, I agree
And
with that.
actually, we do need to do that because once we start building our own UFOs, maybe the only downside is they use an enormous amount of electricity, astronomical. And no problem, Yellowstone will give us all the electricity we need. And
What
then
about solar?
Solar is good, but it's primitive. It's a step toward Yellowstone. We can just go straight to Yellowstone. I mean, I get it. There's baby steps. There's wind, there's solar. I get it. But really, the ultimate, God put all that electricity, it's just sitting in the ground for us. He's like,
Well, yeah, I mean, we have an electromagnetic grid that goes all around our planet, and we're made of electricity. We're little electrodes on our planet, So there's plenty of electricity.
there's
Like we're
plenty.
not at a shortage of it.
No. And then also for what it's worth, besides making all this money and the extra electricity we have, we can make these giant ion cleaners. They just built one in Iceland. It literally cleans the air on the earth. The only downside, it takes an enormous amount of electricity. But so what? Just so what? I mean, so we'll be able to power our future UFOs and we'll be able to clean the air. There's literally no downside.
Yeah.
So
I actually believe that this could happen much sooner than you're thinking because what I've seen, and this is not scientific, this is just like intuition of seeing the future, but I see things happening very, very quickly when it happens. Like a tipping point of like it's basically like humanity is kind of going here and all of a sudden they go this way. And it is like instantaneous in a way, like in how I see it happening. So it seems like, it might kind of come at us real quick and a little shocking, but maybe that's the best way to shift an entire planet's perspective or consciousness, is to kind of shock the system, maybe.
I say, yeah, I say, let's do it. It's just so we'll be in a shock for a few months and then we'll
Yeah.
get used to it.
Yeah, exactly.
It's all benefit. It's all
Yeah.
upside. It will all help humanity. All of us will have a better life. It's right there. It's just for our taking here. So we could do it slower. We could do it fast. So as a scientist, I say, let's do it fast.
Yeah.
Let's help
I
one
mean,
another.
as a spiritualist, I say do it fast. It's like ripping off the band-aid. Like, let's just do it. And then we can all live in the age of Aquarius. That's how I see it.
Amen. That's exactly right. That's it. And that's where we're going. And I'd like to see it happen quicker. There's no reason. I'm so tired of the future happening slow. Let's just speed it up.
I agree.
Let's just. And that's why these videos here. I'm like, look, these things are here.
Mm-hmm.
Record it yourself. Let's get used to it and let's move on.
And even, I'm going to say, us having this conversation, recording it, and then the audience that sees it is going to start, like, everything you do will just start rippling, which is, your 10,000 hours. I always come back to art because I think that art is so much of, like, life is an art form, and so, like, you're making all these ripples, and eventually, like you said, your research alone could be a tipping point or a factor in why we're recording now. So you've affected 1 million people. That's got to reach a good, you're doing good work.
It has. Thank you. It has. It has. I have my share of a lot of scientists are watching a lot. They're keeping a very low profile, but they're out there and they email me and they go, Robert, we're watching your channel and we are amazed by what is going on here. And we're recording the same things and just keep going. Just keep, and that's what I'm doing here. I'm trying to pay it forward too. I mean, I've worked hard. I've had a lot of blessings and I want to pay it forward.
Yeah.
And I want to continue to pay it forward.
It's to me, when I do my podcast, it's kind of, I think of it as like my community service. It's like, I know that I have interesting conversations with people. This is something that's kind of happened to me my whole life. And at one point, I realized, like, I need to record this because there's someone that would benefit from hearing these things that are being talked about. There's something about, like, that innate broadcast nature that I have of just wanting to, like, you never know when it can spark something in somebody. And then maybe there's even going to be someone who hears what you do, and then it'll spark them because they make lenses for cameras and they're going to, like, invent something new because they heard what you're doing. And then I'm just saying, you never know.
Yeah, I have an IT guy in the UK, and he's working on a new software that will, you record a video and automatically it will scan the video, it will find the UAP dragon, it will isolate that portion, and when they fly by, they're only there for 1/3 of a second, basically 20 frames.
Yeah.
And then his software will actually copy and paste each frame on one screenshot. I invented this format. It's called the interpolation, where you can see where the dragon started and where it ended, and it will automatically interpolate videos. And it's like, I told him, like, if you could do this, people all over the world will want this app. Because again, they'll just be walking, they see a helicopter, they hold their phone up, they record it, and then the app scans the video for you. I mean, it's really cool. It's really, and then actually, like I said earlier, because they make these clicking sounds, your phone is always on. It's a microphone. It's always on. It can hear these dragons fly by. So when it does hear one, it will alert you. You pull your phone out, you record the sky, you record a dragon. It really is going to be that easy. It's exciting. We're going to start having a dragon contest. Submit your best photos.
Cool.
Really cool. Really fun.
Do you have an email list that people can, like, sign up, or do you mostly tell everybody to go to YouTube?
Custodian file.
I'll put the link down below too.
Okay. Yeah, custodian file. I'm not really it's kind of funny. I discovered these dragons, but I'm not a big computer guy. I just, for whatever reason, it's like I saw it as a challenge. I go, okay, I accept the challenge. I'll figure this out, and it's just what I do. That's how I think, and I've been very lucky along the way. I've met very smart people, and they give me clues and they point me in the right direction. But yeah, just custodian file, reach out. Also, custodian file at Gmail. If you have your own dragon video, custodian file at Gmail.
So someone can like search all of your whole catalog on YouTube much easier if it's on YouTube than if it were on TikTok. You know what I
Wow.
mean?
I got lucky, Krista. I just sometimes people just get lucky. I was a lucky guess.
Yeah. That's well, yeah, you're smart too. I think there's a lot of times that people say that I'm lucky too, and I'm always like, no, I'm just thinking ahead. Like it's I don't know, but
Yeah, it might be a
maybe the luck does have some part of it too.
maybe it's both.
Yeah.
Maybe it's both, but yes, basically some. Now I know there's probably a lot of questions your viewers are asking.
This is kind of a three questions in one that a lot of people have been asking is who does have the technology to be in these secured airspaces, because we're seeing this over the Pentagon, we're seeing it over Air Force bases in New Jersey, in Manchester, England, parts of Canada, all over, like nuclear sites. So, what are the possibilities? What do you think that these,
Yeah,
who
and
has this technology?
they're also hanging over the CIA Air Force in Langley.
Yep. Oh yeah, Langley, you're right.
Yeah,
Yep.
and that was for 17 days. And I bring that up 17 days over Langley. If you go back to 1952, the UFOs that invaded DC,
Yep.
January,
I remember reading the story.
yeah, actually July 1952, they were there for 17 days also. So that's, I don't want to say there's a, for sure there's a connection, but I have to recognize the connection. It might be their way of, they're saying, look, you guys, you Earth people need to pay attention. We're talking to you. You don't understand the math we know, but we'll break it down. I mean, we were over Washington D.C. for 17 days. We're over the CIA for 17 days, and then also for what it's worth, uh, uh, 1 year, 1 year before that actually happened in 1952, a brand new movie came out, The Day the Earth Stood Still, that UFOs flew over Washington D.C. and landed. And in the movie, they show a piece of paper and it says July 1951.
No way.
Yeah, July 1951. Now, who knew 1 year later it would happen for real?
Yeah, it's interesting because I have this theory called the Hollywood loophole. And I always thought that Hollywood was basically how we were getting around disclosure, because in universal law, you're supposed to know the true nature of the universe. That's like everyone should know that. But we're shrouded in darkness on Earth, and we don't know the true nature. And so I thought they were getting around it by doing movies that were telling humanity what was going on, but framing it to humanity as entertainment. And so that's how the loophole was happening. And I really kind of believe that. But then when I interviewed Daryl Anka, he gave me a perspective that I had not thought of. And he said that sometimes when people are tapped in creatively, they're tuning into the future, and maybe they are just making what they're seeing in the future. They're so tapped in. So I was like, ooh, that could also be.
I can relate to that. I don't think it's a coincidence that they made a movie, the exact movie in 1951, and then 1 year later it happened over the exact same, over the Capitol. It can't be a coincidence. And there's a little bit more to it. I mean, like I said earlier, I've met very smart people. I met this one gentleman, very gifted, mentalist, psychic, time traveler kind of guy, and he just had way more information than any one human being should ever have. And he told me that actually he was there in 1952 in Washington D.C. when they flew by. So There is a lot going on. Maybe we could do a show sometime about him. He's on that level that's worth talking about.
Yeah, you've mentioned him, and I've heard a tiny bit of the story, but I have to say that I'm curious and fascinated by the story. Seems like he was a channel.
He was really, really, really next level. I just let me give you a little. His name was Glenn. You can even look him up, Glenn Falkenstein. People always assumed it was magic. Had nothing to do with magic. It was just a gift. So I just learned last month that Thomas Jefferson was the first government official ever to document and record a UFO in the United States, and he put it officially in the government records. I didn't know
What
that.
do you know what year that was?
Yeah, that was 1780. 1780. He put that in the like the Library of Congress, wherever. So I just learned this. Okay, so why am I bringing this up? So my friend Glenn, the mentalist, psychic time traveler, he told me 30 years ago, because I said, Glenn, you can read minds. Have you ever met anyone else who could do this? He goes, yeah, I know another time traveler. I said, whoa, really? I lit up like a light bulb. I mean, not like a kid in a candy store. And he was really reluctant to give me information. He gave me his name and he told me what he was doing. And the reason I'm bringing it up is I said, what is he doing? He says he's doing research on Thomas Jefferson. And I just learned last month Thomas Jefferson filed the first UFO report.
So all this time you didn't know really why he was researching Thomas Jefferson,
No.
but now you're connecting the dots.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's cool.
Go figure. It's like,
Yeah.
and it's again. I mean, this is the kind of guy Glenn was. Glenn was never wrong. He he was always 100% on target. He's not 99. He was not even 1% wrong. So I know I've been thinking about that for 30 years. It's like, wow, doing research on Thomas Jefferson. Like, where do I go with that? And then, as synchronicity would have it, yeah, look it up. Everyone, look it up. Thomas
Well,
Jefferson.
I think that's an example too of how I feel like recently, and I've talked to other people about this, how we've jumped timelines. There's something that really, I don't know, maybe it was in November that happened, and interestingly enough, that's when these UFO drone sightings really started increasing, was in November of 2024. It kind of slowly started happening. I think I first heard about it in July of 2024. And then I was hearing a little more and a little more. And then in September, there was a very unusual drone that was above a neighboring city of ours in Burien. Almost at some point, some pictures, it looked almost like a human, but like a robotic human, but very unusual looking something in the sky, and was there for like a few minutes. Someone got a video for like 2 minutes of it being there, and multiple people saw it. This was like not just one person seeing it, it was a whole group of people that wrote into this local blog, and they had posts, and I was like, wow, this is happening close to my home now, and then it just seems like by November, which is also when I felt this massive timeline shift that happened. And I know, like, personally, I've actually been very tired since then, adjusting to this energy that changed. I don't know how to describe it, but I do think it's global because I'm on these WhatsApp chats with different energy workers in different parts of the world, and we all kind of give each other updates. Like, I have a friend who's a water shaman in Norway, and she'll send me like certain information, and it totally aligns with what's going on here. I'm like, okay, this is universal, this is global, this is going on everywhere. And so that's interesting to me that you're having new realizations. There's a lot more UFO drones being seen. And I felt this timeline shift. I don't know. I think all of this is connected.
I think it's all connected, and I think it's going to continue. I do. I don't see it all of a sudden abruptly stopping. It's
I
going to
agree.
continue. Uh,
Well, let's keep checking it in with each other about it. And maybe we'll do another talk where we talk about your friend Glenn and get a little more in depth with that. Maybe each time we can just pick a little niche of this niche topic, UFOs, and kind of, dive in, because I think we have similar curiosities of wondering what's going on.
Absolutely. I agree with that. Yeah. The next time we talk about Glenn, let's go back to and bring up Mount Palomar.
Okay.
Mount Palomar, because this is the real deal of time travel.
I can't wait. I'm so excited. I've done one other time travel episode before, and I've been waiting for another one. So this is good. I'm excited.
Okay.
Well,
super.
Robert, thank you so much for your time and chatting and, thinking, just giving us the realm of ideas in your mind too.
Thank you. I appreciate your open minding, your curiosity, and all your viewers. Thank you. You will not be disappointed. I'm really 100% on target on this. And I encourage you to check out my channel, please. And again, I call them dragons because, like I said, they had to be a bug, but they're not a bug. It's the word is getting out there now. So it's exciting times. Yeah.
Well, I hope that next time I talk to you, you have some t-shirts, some merch or something that we can.
I will shoot you a t-shirt. I have 2 prototypes.
Cool.
I will shoot you a t-shirt for sure.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, enjoy your day. I know your phone just rang, so I'll let you get to it. And again, thank you so much.
Thank you. We'll talk soon. God bless.
All right. Sounds good.
Bye-bye.
Bye.